הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Good morning, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to Congregation Share Zedek, located in the city of Winnipeg in the beautiful prairies of Manitoba, Canada. And I say this because I realize in these days we have so many international friends that is proper to welcome you this way so you know exactly where you are davening. And this is a wonderful place to be, and we have a great team for you leading this service. Rabbi Matthew Leibel on the piano.
Hi, Rabbi. You see,
Rabbi.
we switched things around a little here.
Yeah, I like the way you put the piano now. I like you're facing me.
Yeah. It only took, what's the date? It only took us 8 months.
No, more like 2 years.
Well, I guess that's true too. But I mean, usually we had people. Yeah, I don't know why we didn't have it like this before. I'm not entirely sure.
I like it.
I like it too.
I can see you.
We were doing some recording, putting together our Hanukkah program that's coming up, and I was doing some things for the people at Simpkin Center with my favorite Marvin, and I was kind of, well, you know, it's like my beard. I was too lazy to move the piano back, so now the piano's here.
Very nice. We have our shamus, Bill Weisman.
Morning, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Hi, Bill.
And we have Leslie Emery
Shabbat Shalom.
in the back. Now we have a camera just for her.
Leslie's setup reminds me of Picture Day
Yeah.
at Ramah Hebrew School, you know, where the kids had to line up and one by one you went on. There's like a little chair that you sometimes posed on, or you sit.
And everybody told you to move your shoulders. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
felt really
Yeah.
awkward.
Or the rig at
Yeah.
Sears
But
when I was a little kid.
The thing is, people cannot see the setting. They
Yeah.
just can see Leslie.
No, I know. I understand. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. It's a
I
Yeah.
feel very
It's
fancy right now. Thank you.
new Shared Zedek. It's a different Shared Zedek.
So, and we have such a great service prepared for you today. Lots of things to celebrate. You probably already have an idea by reading the chat, which, by the way, is open. And we invite you to write your messages there. We read every messages that you send our way. It's great to participate. You can use the chat on Facebook and YouTube. But you have to be subscribed. If you subscribe to those two, we are going to be notified every time we go live. If you are new to our services, please type new in the chat. So we'll have an opportunity to welcome you in a special way. And if you want to tell us more about yourself, send us an email, hello@szwinnipeg.ca. We would like to know more about you. And we have a great parsha today. Great parsha. But there is something that I noticed when I was reading this parsha is it's all about Jacob. And I don't know if you notice that he's talking a lot about being afraid in this parsha. Multiple times he talks about being afraid. which is interesting because it's the same guy that last week he said, oh, God is everywhere and I didn't realize that. And today he's afraid of everything. But I love what he does next every time he's afraid. He tried to reconnect with God. And then you keep reading and you realize that everything is okay at the end of the day. I'm wondering if Jacob took the time to look back and feeling a little silly for being afraid in the past, knowing that everything resulted in a good way. So we have lots to learn from Jacob, and we have the opportunity, even if you feel afraid at life, if you feel overwhelmed, to connect with the prayers and to use that to enhance your awareness of God. So let's do that together. Let's engage to that process, and for that, we always ask you to be a participator. It's a great temptation to be spectators when we are in front of a screen, but we invite you to sing with us, to participate. You can move at home, get involved, and strengthen your connection with God. Let's start the service counting our blessings on page 5. Please rise. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatatabi, Shenatatabi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher nata'al la'aseh v'min alav k'menyam ben-layla.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani betzalmo.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorihin.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Israel.
Amen.
Together. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatatabi, Shenatatabi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokei achivrim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, atir asurim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokeif kefufim.
Amen.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatatabi, Shenatatabi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi. Page 6. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, roka haaretz al hamayim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asali kol tzorki.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechi mitzadik gaver.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Israel v'gevura.
Amen.
Together. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatatabi, Shenatatabi, Tehorahi, Baruch atah Adonai Elon melech olam, oter Yisrael b'tifarah. Baruch atah Adonai Elon melech olam, anotel layaif koach. One more time. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatatavi, Shenatatavi, Tehorai, and please remain standing as we continue with Baruch She'amar, page 7. Baruch She'amar ve'haya olam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Oseh Bereshit, Baruch Omer ve'oseh, Baruch Konser u'mekayem, Baruch merachem al haaretz, Baruch merachem al haperiot, Baruch meshalem sachar tov nireav, Baruch kala'ad ve'kayam lanetzach, Baruch modeh u'matzil, Baruch Shemo, lai lai la 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 And you may be seated. What's going on in the chat, Leslie? It's been very busy.
It is very busy this morning. We have Bonnie Robinson here, Shabbat Shalom. And I guess Bonnie knows something the rest of us here do, that we are having a special birthday celebration at the service today. Beverly Zatzer, good Shabbos to you as well. Shabbat Shalom, Alice Weisman. And Stephen Cantor, good Shabbos to you. Murray Nazen and Sharon Nazen, it's so good to have you here this morning. Bonnie Cham, Shabbat Shalom to you as well. And Corey Glassberg, Yehuda Cherney, Yerach Lazarovitz, welcome here. Good Shabbos to you all. Jerome Bowman is here and Lauren Weiss, good Shabbos to you. Sharon Allentuck, Shabbat Shalom. Jill Lexier, happy birthday to Howard Raber from Cousin Jill in Naperville, Illinois. So good to have you here celebrating with us today. I guess the secret's out. Howie Raber is having a special occasion with us this morning.
It's no secret. It's out.
It is out. It is open.
Well, I think he told me he sent 800 invitations, so there's no secret when you send that many invitations.
Of course. That's awesome.
I'm exaggerating slightly.
We have Rocky Pollock here. Good Shabbos to you. And Sandy Polanski, good morning and good Shabbos. Judy Chirac is here. Alina Lashev. Lori and Yisrael Ben Nun are here. Evelyn Hecht. David Wilder. Phyllis Laveman is here. Alan and Gloria Cantor are here. Deborah Barenhout's here as well. Caitlin Roberts. Lawrence Fleischer. Hannon Bell. Zelda Elkin. Irv Hockman. And Earl Barish. And they keep coming. Bruce Raber. Shabbat Shalom to you all. It's so good to be here for Shabbat with you. And we look forward to davening together this morning.
So nice. By the way, I've noticed that Hannon Bell is using the chat on YouTube.
Okay.
This is a Shechayanu moment.
Oh, you were working on...
Yeah. So proud of you, Hannon. So let's continue now together, praising the name of God. Page 8, Psalm 150. Hallelujah. Let's do it together. Hallelujah, El Vekocho. Hallelujah, Birkia Uzo. Hallelujah, Bigmurota. Hallelujah, Kerov Gudlo. Hallelujah, Beteka Shofar. Hallelujah, Beneven Behidor. Together. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, v'tofu machol. Hallelujah, v'minim ve'ukav. Hallelujah, v'tzilt le'shama. Hallelujah, v'tzilt le'trua. Kol הנשמה תהלל יד. Please rise for the Mourner's Kaddish, page 46. Yitgadal ve'yitgadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach hiruteh, ve'yamlich malchuteh, ve'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'chayei dechol beit Israel, ba'agala u'vizman kariv ve'imru amen.
Amen.
Yeheh shemei Rabba mevorach le'alam u'le'olmei olmaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, ושבחתה ונחמתה, נמירם בעלמה ואמרו אמן.
Amen.
יש למה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Amen.
עושה שלום במרומה ויעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו.
Amen.
You may be seated as we continue now on page 10. We have to go back in our Siddurim. By the way, if you don't have the Siddur with you, you can get the PDF file on our website, www.szwinnipeg.ca, so you can follow along the prayers. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. Page 10, second paragraph, Shochinat Marom. שוכנת מרום וקדוש שמו.
שוכנת מרום וקדוש שמו.
בפי ישרים תתהלל ודברי צדיקים תתברך ובלשון חסידים נתרומם וקרב קדושים תתקדש. Bottom of the page, the חצי קדיש. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
בעלמא דיברח ירותה ויעש להמליך מלכותי בחייכון וביום אחד ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יש מרבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמייו יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמך קודשה בריחו לעילם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה נושבחתה ונחמתה אמירם בעלמא ואמרו ואמרו Please rise to bless the name of God, the source of all blessing, page 12, the Barhu. Barechu et Adonai ha-mevorach.
Baruch Adonai
Hamvorach
Baruch Adonai ha-mevorach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uborech choshech oseh shalom uborech hakol. You may be seated. Any more chats, Leslie?
Oh, there's lots
Oh,
and
wow.
lots of well wishes for Howie. Happy birthday, Howie, from cousins Irv, Sharon Jordan, and Evan Hockman in Toronto. Happy 60th birthday, little brother Bruce and Rowena from the shores of, I want to say this right, Stuyvesant, BC. Did I get that right? I hope so. I've never been there,
I
but
don't
I
know.
love BC.
Don't look at me.
Don't look at you? Okay. Rochelle Pinkovich wishes us all a Shabbat Shalom from herself and Leon. Janice Raber Wilkes says, wishing my brother healthy and happy birthday. Shabbat Shalom from Karen and Clyde. And so good to see you. Gloria and Jerry are here with us this morning. Boker Or to you and Shabbat Shalom. David Wilder informs us that Amira, age 8, is enjoying singing along with us this morning. Amira, Shabbat Shalom to you. It's so good to have you with us this morning. Keep singing, keep dancing, keep davening. Dolly Cohen is here, and we are happy to have you here with us. Jerry Posner, welcome back. It's always good to have you here at Share Zedek in the morning. And Sharon Stokoloff wishes us all a Shabbat Shalom and her cousin Howard on his 60th birthday, good health and happiness.
Thank you, Leslie. And now it's time to start preparing ourselves for the Shema Israel. So we are going to sing together the blessing before the Shema on page 13, middle of the page. And immediately after, we are going to continue with the Shema Israel on page 14. והעד עינינו בתורתך, בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, במצוותיך. ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך. ויחד לבבינו לאהבה ולידע את שמך, ולא נבוש ולא נבוש לעולם לעולם ועד. והאר עינינו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך. כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בדקנו, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך. והאר עינינו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר ועמו ישראל באהבה. Page 14. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. 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 Page 15. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושינמתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ופומך. וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Please continue silently. last paragraph of page 15, the whole page 16 and top of page 17. Adonai Elohim Emet. Middle of page 17, Mi Hamocha. Mi Hamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Kamocha Nedar V'Kodesh, Nora Tehilot, Osef Eleb. Mi Hamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Kamocha Nedar V'Kodesh, Nora Tehilot, Osef Eleb. Shira Hadasha, Shivechu Geulim Leshimcha, Al Sfat Hayam, Yachad Kulam, Odu ve'imlichu ve'amru, Adonai Imloch Le'olam Va'ed. Mi Hamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Kamocha Nedar V'Kodesh, Nora Tehilot, Osef Eleb. Please rise. Zu Israel, Bezrat Israel, Tehinu Mecha Yehuda ve'Israel, Mo Aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kedosh Israel. Mi Hamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Kamocha Nedar V'Kodesh, Nora Tehilot, Osef Eleb. Baruch Atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Please remain standing for the Amidah on page 18. This is the prayer within the prayer. Actually, the rabbis say that each one of the patriarchs kind of created each one of the Amidot that we have. Abraham created the one in the morning, Isaac the one in the afternoon, and Jacob the one in the evening. Actually, it's kind of interesting because if you will see that most of experiences of Jacob and God happened at night. Remember the dream, and then he fought with his angel all night. It's interesting. So, but this is the prayer that is here at the service to help us open our hearts to God and to share with God all our joys and our sorrows, and to give God the opportunity to reach out to us. So to achieve that, we have a few suggestions for you. Number one, you can use the Hebrew, starting on page 18. Number 2, you can use the English. Number 3, you can use your own words of prayer, if that will help you to connect with your Creator this time of the service. So we are going to start singing the first 3 blessings together, and then when we continue on silent prayer, you can use any of the 3 options that we presented to you. Let's begin, page 18. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות, ומביא כהן לבני בניהם, למען שמו ואהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מקיים את אימתה, רב להושיע, משיב הרוח, מוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מקיים מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו דשני עפר, מי כמוך על גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך מימין ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, נאמנת עליה חיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מקיים מתים. Bottom of page 20. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו, בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אז בקול רעש גדול, אדיב וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנסים לעומת צרפים, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ממקומך מלכנו תופיע, ותמלוך עלינו כמחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך בציון וקרוב וימינו לעולם ועד תשכון. תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור ולנצח נצחים. והננו תראה למלכותך כדבר אמור בשירי עוזך, על ידי דוד משיח צדקך. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Please continue silently. the Kaddish Shalem, page 32. יתגדל ותקדש מדבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי, וימליך מלכותי ויקרו יום יקונו כתיקו בית ישראל, בעלה בזמן קריב וימרו.
Amen.
יש מדבה מבורך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ותרועת ותנשא ותדר ותעלה ותעלה על שם קודשה. בריחו לעין למקור כתב ושידתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה דמידם עלמה וימרו. תתקבל צלות ונבותיון דכל ישראל קודם בבון דבשמיה וימרו. יש למה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו. עושה שלום ממרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו. Amen. Are we ready to continue?
Well, unless you wanted to check, unless there was anything going on in the chat. I hadn't checked the chat in a little while.
Oh, me neither. What's going on?
A lot of love there for Howie Raber, who's celebrating his 60th birthday, coming up with the Haftarah today and final Aliyah.
Yeah, I think the chat's been kind of quiet since last time.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's good.
we've had a few arrivals. Sid Thompson is here. Shabbat Shalom.
That's nice.
Josue Silva sends a special message to your mama. I just think I'll read it terribly in Spanish, so
Hola,
I'll leave
Mommy.
that to you. And yeah, we have Carol Gutkin here. Arya Leah's here. And John O'Halpern is wishing Howie a very happy birthday.
Very nice.
You know, Howie told me a story about the weekend of his actual bar mitzvah that he thought was going to be a bit of a, premonitions, maybe the right word. That I guess that his actual bar mitzvah 47 years ago, this Parsha, I think it was this weekend, first weekend in December. He'll maybe correct me later. But there was a ridiculous snowstorm in 1973, just like an insane snowstorm. And that they had to, his bar mitzvah was at the Rosh Pina, the artist formerly known as the Rosh Pina, the shul formerly known as the Rosh Pina. That's Chaim. And they had to plow out the street, and then people were getting stuck, and his bar mitzvah party was at his house. I hope I'm allowed to tell these stories. I mean, he invited everybody. They know it. And his bar mitzvah party was at his parents' house, and because no one could leave, they were all snowed in. 50 people slept on the floor in the house or something like that.
Well,
And he was saying it was going to be a terrible storm. So when I woke up this morning and there was a little dusting of snow, I was like, Howie Raber!
listen,
Yom Huladet Sameach!
for one of my brother's bar mitzvah,
Which was
actually
in
was
Argentina.
It was a flood in Argentina, and it was one of the big avenues. There's
Right.
a river underneath, and it was totally flooded. So basically, to go to the shul, we had to cross that street, and we couldn't. So basically, I remember we had to take the bus because the bus were higher
That's amazing.
to go to shul that day because nothing else could cross that. So we were all wet.
Could you imagine?
And we did it anyway, half of the people in the synagogue, but people with cars couldn't make it.
Wow.
Sorry?
Which is better, a snowstorm or a flood?
Depends.
We do
Truly.
both in Winnipeg.
Truly. Anyway, so Howie's going to be doing the Haftarah coming up at the end of the Torah service, but maybe that's a good way to get into the Torah service now, yeah?
Oh, but hold on. It's also Hanun's Belt bar mitzvah anniversary.
It's true.
Yeah.
And Susan Bilenkoff, they all have the same parsha.
Huh. Very
Yeah.
nice.
And they've all revisited their bat mitzvah or bar mitzvah,
But nobody had a snowstorm.
like Howie.
Yeah. Page 33. Torah service. Please rise in honor of the Torah. Vayehi vinso Aharon vayomer Moshe Kuma Adonai ve'afotzo yevecha ve'anusu mesanecha mipanecha ki mitzion teze Torah ki mitzion teze Torah u'devar Adonai mirushalayim Baruch shenatan Torah Baruch shenatan ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol, Adoneinu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adoneinu, Kadosh Shemo.
גדלו לאדוני איתי, ונרוממה שמו יחדיו. לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד. כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כל בשמיים ובארץ, אדוני הממלכה והמתנשא לכל ראש. רוממו, רוממו, אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו, לאדון רגליו קדוש הוא. רוממו, רוממו, אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו להר קודשו. הקדוש, הקדוש, אדוני אלוהינו.
Please be seated. Yasher Koach, Rabbi.
Yasher Koyach, Rabbi, they're all yours. I'm going to the back of the sanctuary to take care of the Zoom aliyot.
We got some action on the Aliyot this morning. We got a lot of people. We got some people with us on Zoom. We got some people with us. We're doing the Aliyot for them, but a lot of, I think, different. I mean, we got Howie Raber's celebration and a few people connected to that, and some other people marking some yort sites and an anniversary I think we have as well. So it's going to be good.
Important. If you have a Zoom aliyah, please connect now. Otherwise, you're going to make me very nervous. I'm going to be like Jacob, afraid. Kind of.
Okay. I thought that was very interesting, Jacob being afraid. We'll see a little bit more about Jacob later on. But as Rabbi Mas makes his way to the back, I also want to say Yasher Kochech to Leslie Emery and to Bill Wiseman and to Marvin Polanski, everyone helping us through our Shacharit service. And great to see so many people logged on to our service to celebrate Shabbat with us and a few of the other occasions, including Howie's 60th birthday and the anniversary of his bar mitzvah, coinciding on the same Shabbat, which is very special. So we get to today's Torah reading. Rabbi Mas alluded to the Torah reading a little bit. The Parsha is Vayishlach. And if you are logged onto our website, you will find szwinnipeg.ca. You will see that we have links. Every week we update them, PDFs of the Torah reading from the Etz Chaim Chumash. The Etz Chaim Chumash, maybe you have a copy at home. It looks like this. The Etz Chaim Chumash, big red leather-bound book. And in that Chumash, it's on page 206. If you are using a different Chumash, today's Torah reading starts at the beginning of a chapter. Remember, we didn't start the Torah that long ago. It was Simchat Torah a few months ago. We're in Breshit, the book of Genesis, chapter 34. Genesis chapter 34. Very interesting chapter. One of those stories that doesn't get a lot of talk about it because there are so many fantastic stories, especially in the book of Breshit. This is one of those stories, very important. And here in the triennial cycle, year number 2, which we are in, we get a chance to focus on it. And then a little bit into the next chapter, 35. So beginning of chapter 34, Genesis Breshit, page 206. I'll give you a little bit of background here at the beginning, and we'll let the first big bulk of this week's parsha, of this Torah reading, kind of unfold in front of us over the first 5 aliyot, and then maybe we'll kind of check in and check what we think by then. Move on to the last 2 aliyot because they're separate, another incident. This story involves Dinah. Well, at least it starts off involving Dinah. Remember, Dinah, by this point, Yaakov we've talked about Yaakov for several weeks, when he was young, and he deceived his brother, and he deceived his father, and then he ran away. And 20 years he was away. He got married twice, Leah, Rachel. He's had 12 children, 11 sons. Or maybe by now he's had 12 sons, with Binyamin being born as well when Rachel died. And a daughter, Dinah, and his family has grown, and he's reunited with his brother Esav. In fact, in the first part of this parsha, Rabbi Mas was talking about this. Yaakov is getting ready. The next day he's going to be meeting Esav for the first time in 20 years. Last time he saw him, he wanted to kill him. And he sends his entire family and his whole camp and everything ahead of him, and he's alone, and he wrestles with this angel. He gets told his name is now Israel. The next morning, Esav runs and meets him. They hug, they make up, they reconcile, they go their separate ways peacefully. This will come up again in the Haftarah. That's how he's going to chant a little bit from now. This story now picks it up right in what's next. Now, it's a little bit weird. Now, we know the Torah does this. It doesn't always follow chronological order. By what we're going to read here, we assume that's actually quite a bit later, because at least a couple of Yaakov's oldest sons, Shimon and Levi, whom this story is really more about them than Dinah, they seem to be older. They're not as young as we kind of expect them to be in the early stages. So we expect that a little bit of time has passed, and Yaakov and his family are living in the vicinity of a place called Shechem. Very important for this story. They're living in a place called Shechem. So it starts with Dinah, his daughter, going out, and someone's potentially going to fall in love with her. And we'll see what happens from there. It is not a very pleasant story. I will give you a warning. It's not a favorable account of a couple of Yaakov's sons, a couple of the ancestors of the tribes of Israel. Interesting that it is included, the detail to which is included, lots of things for us to think about. So let's get to it. Page 206. Leslie Emery is going to start reading for us with Rishon, our first Aliyah, which kicks off our first celebration of the morning. They're not joining us on Zoom, but Glory and Larry Fleischer are going to accept this Aliyah by proxy, our honorary honorees, as they are celebrating their 59th wedding anniversary. So Bill Wiseman will do the blessings for them, and we'll call them up now to start our Torah reading for this week for Parshat Vayishlach. V'yazor v'yem yoshir l'chol ha'chosim bo v'nomar amen. Hakol avu godel Eloheinu tnu chavol Torah yamdu. Chana Gita bar Yosef HaKohen v'Sonia. V'Aryeh Dov ben Michael v'Chana. L'Aliyah Rishona. Baruch shenatan Torah Yisrael b'kedushato. Ve'atem madvekim Adonai Elohechem Chaim kolchem hayom.
Baruch hu el Adonai hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Vorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai vorach leolam vaed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. ונתן לנו את תורתו, ברוך אתה אדוני, נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amen. ותצא דינה בת לאה, אשר ילדה ליעקב לראות בבנות הארץ, וירא אותה שכם בן חמור, אחיו נשיא הארץ, ויקח אותה, וישכב אותה ויעניה, ותדבק נפשו בדינה, בת יעקב ואהב את הנערה, ודבר הלב הנערה. ויאמר שכם אל חמור אביו לאמור קח לי את הילדה הזאת לאישה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. We'll continue with the Torah reading in a moment, but first a special Mishaberach, a special blessing for Gloria and Larry Fleischer celebrating their 59th wedding anniversary. Mishaberach, Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah, Hu Yevarech את חנה גיטו בת יוסף הכהן וסוניה, ואת אריה דוב בן מיכאל וחנה, בעבור שבאו היום להודות לשם קודשו על כל החסד אשר גמר להם מיום חתונתם, ומיום שמחת ליבם עד היום הזה. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמרם ויצילם מכל צרה וצוקה מכל נגע מחלה, וישלח ברכה וצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם. עם כל ישראל אחיהם ונאמר Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, bless Glory and Larry Fleischer, Lawrence Fleischer, as the handle on chat goes, who are here today with gratitude for all the blessings their 59 years of marriage together have afforded them. Glory, Larry, to both of you we say, may the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be God, protect you and deliver you. May you continue to enjoy God's blessings in the new song of your years to come, so that you may always live in joy and gladness, in peace and companionship. And let us all say, Amen. Hod yeshama behare Yehuda, ובחוצות ירושלים, עוד ישמע בהרי יהודה, ובחוצות ירושלים, כה ששון וכה שמחה, כה חתן וכה כלה, כה ששון וכה שמחה, כה חתן וכה כלה.
Mazel tov to both of you. Many, many happy returns.
Mazal tov.
Happy anniversary and Mazel Tov from all of us here, from the whole congregation. Thank you for kicking off our Torah service today with a beautiful occasion to mark on this first Aliyah. 59 years. Wow. I'd like to hear some stories.
I'm sure there are.
Yeah. Well, they could always type them. You could always type them. Or we'll wait till we're together and we'll get to celebrate more when we're in person finally somewhere down the road and we'll hear all the stories. I wonder if there was a huge snowstorm 59 years ago when Gloria and Larry tied the knot. We'll have to find out. Let's move on. Shani is next. Our second Torah reading. Leslie Emery is going to continue for us. This will be page 207 in the Yetz Chaim Chumash. We're working our way through chapter 34 in the book of Breshit, the book of Genesis. This will be verses 5 through 12. And already you can see what I was kind of alluding to a little bit in the opening with Dinah. And it's interesting, though, because in spite of Shechem kind of, and that's the name of this character as well as the name of the place, right? So it can get confusing. Shechem, he's the son of Hamor, who's kind of the prince or the president or the boss. And Shechem, it's a little complicated. Anyway, Shechem obviously falls for Dinah, but he takes her by force. And we know that this is very problematic. There are actual specific rules later in the book of Devarim in the Torah that cover situations like this that I guess in the timeline haven't been enacted yet, but still it's a difficult feeling. And yet over the story, one of the things to watch for is the way the story makes us kind of feel about Shechem. He's going to be portrayed as having very legitimate feelings for Dinah. Not that it matters to her brothers who are going to avenge this disgusting act, but it's very interesting. One of the things to watch as we watch the story now over the next few aliyot is just the way Shechem is portrayed and the way we actually build up a little sympathy for him, I think. I would argue. Maybe you disagree, but let's see how it happens.
I want Dina's side of the story.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to save that for the end.
Sons.
I wanted to save that for the end because the story hasn't finished yet.
True.
But yes, it's a great point. Where's Dina in all this? Because she kicks it off, and we'll see her again later on. But no, I mean, it's the Torah. It's thousands of years old, and they didn't ask Dina for her opinion, which they should have. I'm with Leslie on that one, too. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Second Aliyah is next. Shani, page 207, verses 5 through 12. He's not joining us on Zoom, but we are very pleased to have this Aliyah. Our honorary honoree is Morley Rip. Morley is commemorating a yortzeit of his mother-in-law, Fanny Siegel, with this Aliyah to the Torah. Bill will recite the blessings for him. He asked specifically for you.
Thank
Bill.
you. It's an honor.
We didn't give him a choice, but it worked out okay. Yamon Moshe ben Yosel Alevi v'Rivka L'Aliyah hashniya.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Vorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai vorach leolam vaed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Yaakov shama ki timet dina bito ubanav hayu et miknehu basadeh v'cherish Yaakov ad boam vayetzech hamor avi shechem el Yaakov ledaber ito uvnei Yaakov ba'u min hasadeh keshomam v'yitatzu hanashim vayichar lahem מאוד, כי נבלה עשה בישראל, לשכב את בת יעקב, וכן לא יעשה. וידבר חמור אותם לאמור, שכם בני חשקה נפשו בבתכם, תנו נא אותה לא לאישה, התחתנו אותנו בנותיכם תיתנו לנו, ואת בנותינו תיקחו לכם. ותנו תשבו והארץ תהיה לפניכם, שוזכרוה וחזו בה. ויאמר שכם אל אביה ולאחיה אמצא חן בעיניכם, ואשר תאמרו אלי אתן הרבו עלי מאוד, מוהר ומתן, ואתנה כאשר תאמרו אלי, ותנו לי את הנערה לאישה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yasher Koach to Morley Rip, our second honorary honoree this morning, and Yasher Kochech to Leslie Emery, our Torah reader for the Rishon and Sheni Aliyot this morning.
Yasher Koach, Morley. I just wanted to let you know, Rabbi,
Yes.
in his youth, Morley was quite a distinguished basketball player.
Oh, I know these things. I know these things.
And
I'm
my
aware.
career as a basketball referee went a long time. So he and I have a lot of discussions. It just proves one point, that a former basketball player and a referee can get along.
Well, when they're not in the same room.
And the referee doesn't have a whistle.
I'm going to slide up to the bima here, take over for the Torah reading here with our third Aliyah, Shlishi. Just get set up for that as I bring my things up here. No, I knew that, Bill, about Morley's career. There are rumors that he could dunk.
Be surprised.
I
could not, but he
I
could.
made those rumors up just now, so that's why they're there. But now we're going to continue with the story. Shlishi. Our honoree joining us on Zoom is Sharon Allentuck. Last week when we had a call out to fill some aliyot, we had people kind of get there, but I saw Sharon's name there and I didn't forget, and I wanted to give her an opportunity to join us from home. So she's joining us by Zoom for this next Aliyah, which is on page 208 in the Etz Chaim, chapter 34, of course, as we work through it, verses 13 through 17. So we'll call Sharon. We're thrilled to have her this morning. Tamod Sarah bat Dov Alevi v'Shein Dol Aliyah Shlishit.
First of all, before I say the bracha, I want to say so nice to see my cousins on the Zoom call. And I remember Howie's bar mitzvah, how I think his late Uncle Easton arranged school buses to take us to the Rosh Pina synagogue for his bar mitzvah. Anyway, mazel tov to you. Baruch hu Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayanu v'nei Yaakov et Shechem v'et Chamor aviv b'mirma vayedaberu asher timei et dinachotam vayomru aleim lo nuchal lasot hadavar hazeh latet et achotenu leish asher lo orla ki cherpa hi lanu. Ach bezod neod lachem im tiu chamonu lihimol lachem kol zachar v'natanu et benotenu lachem ve'benotechem nikach lanu v'yashavnu itchem v'ayinu le'am echad v'im lo tishmeu eleinu lehimo v'lakachnu et bitenu Ve'halachnu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yisher kochech, Sharon.
Thank you.
Everybody gets to see you. I still don't get to see anybody. I get to hear everybody. But it's great to hear you, and I'm sure for everyone, great to see you. And yes, the Raber connection is fabulous. So we have an eyewitness account of this bar mitzvah experience. Not that we doubted it for a second, but it's great. So Yisher kochech to you again, Sharon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Up next is Rivi'i, our fourth Aliyah, page 209 in the Etz Chaim Chumash, 209. As we continue working our way through the story, now we'll have verses 18 through 23. Our honorees joining us on Zoom are Diane and David Wilder. They are commemorating the yortzites of David's parents, Marshall and Phyllis Wilder. Of course, longtime members and volunteers and people involved here with Congregation Shared Zedek. So it's very nice to remember them with this Aliyah. Diane and David joining us. The fourth Aliyah Rivi'i right now. Yamdu Dina Rachel ben Yosef David v'Sara Esther v'David Tzvi ben Mendelezer v'Sara Peso L'Aliyah HaRivi'it.
No, Dina Rachel.
Well, I told you I can't see, so it's just David.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayitvu divrehem beinei chamor veinei Shechem ben chamor velo echar anar lasot hadavar ki chafetz bevad Yaakov vehu nichbad mikol beit aviv vayavo chamor u'Shechem beno el shari ram vayidabru el anshei ram lemor Hanashim ha'ele shleimim hem itanu v'yeshvu v'aretz v'yischaru ota v'aretz hine rachavat yadayim lifnehem epenotam nikach lanu lenashim ve'penotenu niten lahem ach bezot yeotu lanu anashim lashevet itanu liol le'am echad behimo lanu kol zachar kasher hem nimolim miknehem vekinyanam vechobehem tam halo lanu hem ach neota lahem v'yeshvu itanu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'chayei olam t'avtotenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Rabbi, you have to know this. He has a fantastic mask. It says Shabbat Shalom across his mask.
He's got
He has a Shabbat Shalom mask.
How am I the only
Nicely
one who
done,
can't-
David.
I got to be able to see these things. I got to set
know.
this stuff up. Maybe there's too many distractions up here. I got to stay focused, But maybe if I'm nice to Rabbi Anibal, he'll set up a screen for me or something like that. I have to be kind to him. But Yasher Koach to David Wilder, Shabbat Shalom, and to Diane, we wish all the best. Wish we could see her hopefully next time. So be well and hang in there. And great to have you this morning. We've got one more Aliyah for this whole episode, this whole story, this chapter 34, and then we can maybe unpack with a few words. So let's move to that. Chamishi is next, fifth Aliyah, closing out this chapter, verses 24 through 31. Everything's been building here to the climax of the story, and you've been following, you see the deals that's going on here, but unfortunately, our ancestors, the sons of Jacob, Shimon and Levi, they're not acting in good faith. We've been told this already, that they were acting with deceit, with guile, with trickery. They're not acting in good faith, and so everything's going to come together with the climax of the story here with disastrous consequences, really, for everybody. Fifth Aliyah, Chamishi, page 210, verses 24 through 31. And we've got a couple of people who are joining us by Zoom to help us with the celebration for Howie, for the anniversary of his bar mitzvah, and especially for his 60th birthday. So we've got his brother and sister-in-law, Bruce and Ro Raber, joining us for this Chamishi Aliyah. They're joining us on Zoom, and it's great to have them. Yamdu Beryl ben Yaakov Alevi Marcia V'Sara ben Avram V'Sara L'Aliyah HaChamishit.
Thanks. Happy birthday, Howie. And Rabbi, some of the stories are getting confused about what actually happened at the storm of his bar mitzvah, because they're also a storm on his wedding.
Yes, I knew that. I knew that. He told me that as well. So I wondered if the story with the buses, with Easton and the buses, was the wedding.
From the wedding, but the bar mitzvah story is true about people sleeping over. In fact, I remember my Auntie Rita sitting in a bathtub with some blankets and pillows. So we go on. Baruch et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'olam, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayishmeu el chamor ve'el Shechem beno kol yotzei shariro vayumolu kol zachar kol yotzei shariro vayihi vayom hashlishi biyotam koavim vayichu shnei vnei Yaakov Shimon ve'Levi אחי דינה איש חרבו. ויבואו על העיר בטח, ויהרגו כל זכר, ואת חמור ואת שכם בנו הרגו לפי חרב. ויקחו את דינה מבית שכם ויצאו. בני יעקב באו על החללים ויבוזו העיר, אשר טימאו אחותם, את צאנם ואת בקרם ואת חמוריהם, ואת אשר בעיר ואת אשר בשדה לקחו, וכל חילם וכל טפם ואת נשיהם שבו ויבוזו, ואת כל אשר בבית. ויאמר יעקב אל שמעון ולוי, אחרתם אותי להבישני ביושב הארץ, בכנעני ובפריזי, ואני מתי מספר, ונאספו עלי והיכוני, ונשמרתי אני וביתי. ויאמרו החסונה יעשה את אחותינו.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, חיי עולם נטע בינינו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. So, Yasher Kochachem, and a mazel tov as well by extension to Bruce and to Ro. Thank you for joining us for this Aliyah and for setting us straight on the stories. Because I knew that Howie is like this bad luck charm. He told me for his bar mitzvah, for his wedding. And so, yes, it's interesting that the stories can kind of get conflated like that.
Except today.
Yeah. Today's good. Today's good.
Yeah.
Before we continue, we've got another Aliyah coming up here. She, 6th, Diane and Sandy Schindelman, very close to Howie, connected to Howie. We'll get to them in just a moment. But now that we've hit the end of this story, I think we need to just maybe make a little separation, because what's coming next is very, very important. And maybe just like kind of a word, because there's so many things we could say about this story. I think Leslie was bang on, if you didn't catch it earlier. Leslie was talking about, where's Dinah in all of this? You know, I think by now we've come to, unfortunately, accept the patriarchal notion of the fact that men wrote and told this story. And of course, we don't get Dinah's perspective. And it's even more troubling that some of the classical commentaries actually try to pin blame on Dinah from the opening verse by saying that because she left the camp and went out to consort, to hang out, to visit with the women of the nearby communities outside of the family, that she was somehow to blame. I read a fantastic explanation of how it's actually a bad interpretation, and that Dinah should be praised for her outgoing nature, just as her mother, Leah, should be praised for her outgoing nature, not constantly compared or contrasted, rather, with Rachel as being lesser in every sense of the way. Leah is still one of the matriarchs. Dinah was her daughter, and Dinah had tremendous attributes. There's fascinating midrashim about Dinah, everything from her being locked in a chest by her father, which is crazy, to her being the wife of Job. So in the Talmud it's mentioned. So it's that Job lived during the time of Jacob and that his wife was Dinah. So there's some very fascinating things, but in the Torah, we don't get to hear from her. And last night I misquoted the writer, but it's Anita Diamant who wrote a book that called The Red Tent, which is based on this whole this whole episode, and I think trying to give us a little bit of a window into her perspective. So yes, right off the bat, a story where the men take over and we don't get to hear from Dinah at all. I mentioned the idea of the way the story treats Shechem, but I'd almost like to kind of talk about what Yaakov says at the very end, where he chastises Shimon and Levi, and he's worried, and they end up moving, coming up, spoiler alert, because of the way that the neighbors, the other nations around them, he mentioned specifically Haknani v'Haprizi, how they're going to act, you're going to bring shame, everything they did. Less about anything else. Jacob, in the text here, doesn't address anything else. That is his concern. And isn't it interesting that the Torah, presenting such an unflattering account, I mean, this story gets held over Shimon especially, but Shimon and Levi, when Jacob gives his deathbed blessing towards the end of this book, his deathbed blessing is like a rebuke of Shimon, a callback to this story. And then later, Shimon becomes the brother who really has Midrash says that he's the one that goes after Yosef, that he's the one that says that we should throw Yosef in the pit, that he actually throws Yosef in the pit, that way later on, the tribe of Shimon is completely decimated because they're the ones, I can't remember if it's the golden calf or the Baal Peor incident, but they're the ringleaders in breaking away from, like, there's just a lot of bad karma, I guess if we could call it, that comes from Shimon, especially from this story. And Shimon and Levi as brothers, they need to be separated because they would get each other riled up. It's a very unflattering account. So all this to say, I wonder why the Torah would present this story and then give them the last word in the form of this rhetorical question, right? Jacob talks about the way that the others are going to see us. And they say, but what about our sister? I don't think anyone would take their side in this story. I certainly don't lean that way, but I do find it interesting that they get the last word, that it's open-ended. It's left up for us. The book of Jonah ends with a rhetorical question too. It's left for us, the audience, the reader, to kind of, we're forced to engage with the story, as uncomfortable as it may be. And that their motivation is their sister, or at least what they say their motivation is their love for their sister. It's a complicated story. I'm not the first person to try and unpack it, but I wanted to offer a few other thoughts there before we move on to the next two aliyot, because now the tone really shifts here. We're going to see basically a major moment in Yaakov's life. Now, remember, he already just had a major moment before all this when he wrestled with the angel. But if you've heard me talk about this before, there are a lot of critical scholars who almost paint the picture of the Torah, and especially Breshit, being woven together from two traditions. One tradition where God's name is Yod-Heh Vav-Heh, and one tradition where God's name is Elohim. And we see this a lot in where different stories seem to get repeated. The story with Hagar, the elements of creation, the story with the flood, where there's kind of an account with Yod-Heh Vav-Heh as the, Hashem, right, what we would say is Adonai when we read it of the Torah, and Elohim, right? This is obviously at odds with rabbinic tradition and reconciling them, but it is interesting looking at it from a literary almost kind of perspective, because we know that Jacob has had his name changed to Israel. But what we're about to read would suggest that no, it hasn't, not yet, and that it's being changed now. You'll see what I mean. The sixth aliyah is where we go next, page 211, chapter 35. We're moving along, verses 1 through 11, and our honorees, as I mentioned a moment ago, dear friends of our birthday boy, Howie Raber, Diane and Sandy Schindelman are joining us on Zoom, and it is great to have them. Let's call them up for this Shishi Aliyah. Yamdu Zalman ben Yehuda Halevi v'Chaya ve'Ariel bar Avram v'Sara l'Aliyah HaShishit.
Well, happy birthday, Howie. And here goes.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarav.
Baruch Adonai Amorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Bakar Banu Mikol Hamim, V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Elohim el Yaakov kum ale Beitel v'shev sham v'aseh sham mizbeach la'el hanireh lecha bevorchacha mipnei savachicha. Vayomer Yaakov el Beito ve'el kol asher imo hasiru et Elohei hanechar asher betochechem v'hitaru v'hachalifu simlotechem v'nakuma v'nale Beitel ve'eseh sham mizbeach la'el haoneh oti biyom sarati vayehi imadi b'derech asher halachti vayinu el Yaakov et כל אלוהי הנכר אשר בידם ואת הנזמים אשר באוזניהם וידמון אותם יעקב תחת האלה אשר עם שכם ויסעו ויהי חיטת אלוהים על הערים אשר סביבותיהם ולא רדפו אחרי בני יעקב ויבוא יעקב לוז אשר בארץ כנען היא בית אל הוא וכל העם אשר עמו ויבן שם מזבח ויקרא למקום אל בית אל כי שם נגלו אליו האלוהים בבורכו מפני אחיו ותעמוד דבורה מנקת רבקה ותיקבר מתחת לבית אל תחת האלון ויקרא שמו אלון בחוט וירא אלוהים אל יעקב עוד בבואו מפדן ארם ויברך אותו ויאמר לו אלוהים שמך יעקב לא יקרא שמך עוד יעקב כי אם ישראל יהיה שמך ויקרא שמו ישראל ויאמר לו אלוהים אני אל שדי פרעור וגוי וקהל גויים יהיה ממך ומלכים מחלצך יצאו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah te'emet v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yesher koach to Diane and to Sandy. Thank you for joining us for this Aliyah. With a shout out to Howie Raber, who's coming up next with our final Aliyah of the morning, Shvi'i Maftir, page 213. Here we are in chapter 35, now verses 12 through 15. And you see what I mean. If you didn't know the story, it seems like he's getting his name changed yet again. Remember, I talked about this, possible tradition of two traditions kind of being combined, and that first tradition was with one of the names of God, and this tradition with another name of God, but they work together. What's even more significant is that, like his grandfather Avraham, Yaakov has this moment here where God reveals God's self to Yaakov by the name El Shaddai. That is the seminal transformative moment in Avraham's life, the moment where God says, I am El Shaddai. That's where Avraham gets his name changed. That's where the covenant gets made. And here, as we're going to see in the final part, the last few verses, the covenant with Avraham and with Yitzchak gets restored and is made here with Yaakov. It doesn't explicitly happen with Yitzchak in the Torah. There's an allusion later in the book of Shemot, in the book of Exodus, that Yitzchak that God revealed God's self to Yitzchak by El Shaddai. Like God says, I revealed myself to Avraham and to Yitzchak and to Yaakov when God's talking to Moses. But we don't actually see it with Yitzchak. But the parallels, if you go back and look at chapter 17, the parallels between when Avraham has this experience with El Shaddai and Yaakov are really quite profound, and it links Yaakov into this tradition of the three Avot, linking him with his grandfather. And now he's really come full circle, literally. He went to Beit El at the beginning of last week's Parsha, the dream with the ladder when he ran away. This is the place that Rabbi talked about in his sermon, right? God's everywhere. And now he's come all the way back and rededicated at this place and now had his name changed. He's literally come full circle. Like I said, a huge moment in Yaakov's life. And it's a huge moment in Howie Raber's life. Look at that transition.
I know. Home run there, home run.
Didn't even plan that. Didn't even plan that.
Very smooth.
Whew. You know what made it good was the humility of not fist bumping and making a big deal about it.
You want to do it?
Already did. But let's make a big deal about our final honoree of the morning, as we have been, and we thank everybody for the chats. We thank Howie for wanting to celebrate and make a big deal and do the Haftarah. It's been in the works for over a year, I can tell you, because this Parsha has been very sought after. There have been bar mitzvahs. There have been people revisiting their bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs. Howie and I have had it locked down for a while. He's going to be chanting the Haftarah, but first we'll call him for this Aliyah, and we'll be able to make a special Mishra Berach as he is commemorating his 60th, celebrating his 60th birthday.
Woohoo!
Just so happens to be his bar mitzvah anniversary as well. It's lovely when that works out. Had a chance to chat with Howie this week. I know we've been looking forward to it. He has, I have, we all have. It's great. And Howie's with us here for this final Aliyah, page 213, chapter 35, verses 12 through 15. Ya'amod Chaim Yitzchak ben Yaakov Alevi u'Marcia Maftir Chazak.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'taretz asher natati le'Avraham u'Yitzchak lecha etnena u'zaracha acharecha eten et haaretz vayal me'alav Elohim b'makom asher diber ito vayatzev Yaakov matzeva b'makom asher diber ito matzev et aven vayasech alea nesech vayitzok alea shamen vayikra Yaakov et shem hamakom asher diber ito sham Elohim Beitel.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet yechayei olam atah b'tolcheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. I remember meeting Howie just before I give this Misha Berach when his daughters, Shir and Meira, had their Benat Mitzvah here many, many years ago. It was the beginning of my career. And then years later, we had a chance to reconnect. And over the last few years, got to know him. And it's a very special honor for me, especially to be able to make this Misha Berach to you, Howie. So here goes. Misha Berach, Avotenu, Avram Yitzchak, V'Yaakov, Sarivka, Rachel, V'Leah, Hu Yevarech. Et Chaim Yitzchak ben Yaakov Alevi u'Marcia, she'ala hayom lichvod hamakom v'lichvod haTorah v'lichvod haShabbat, ulehodot al kol hachasadim asher gamalo Elohim, miyom hivaldo ad hayom hazeh, hakadosh baruch hu yishmor oto v'et kol mishpachto, v'yishlach bracha v'tzacha b'chol ma'aseh yadav, im kol Yisrael echav, v'nomar amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, bless Howie Raber, who has come for an aliyah this morning with reverence for God and respect for the Torah and Shabbat, grateful to God for the gift of life which he has enjoyed until this day. Howie, may the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be God, continue to bless you. Continue to bless you with length of years, with good health, with the pleasures of Torah study, and with the profound satisfaction that comes from a life of Ma'asim Tovim, a life of good deeds. In celebrating this and other birthdays, may your example remind us. People may count the days of their life, but a person of wisdom makes every day count. A huge mazel tov to you, Ad Mea V'Esrim. Can't wait to hear your Haftarah. Happy birthday. Let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov. Yehelanu, 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 ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael.
Mazel tov, many happy returns.
Happy birthday.
Hope to see you sooner than later.
And it's nice to see your face this morning, Howie.
Everybody but me. I'm going to go check. Maybe I'll check my screen over there. I need to get a bigger screen up here. Howie's chanting of the Haftarah, the same Haftarah from his bar mitzvah, is coming up. It's the full Haftarah. Page 222 is where you will find it. All of chapter 1 of the book of Ovadia. In fact, trivia, it's the whole book of Ovadia. What is the shortest book in the Old Testament? Was once a Final Jeopardy question. I kid you not. The answer is Obadiah. We say in Hebrew, Ovadia. And you'll see the connection. Remember, at the beginning of this parsha, in the full parsha, there's the reconciliation, the reunion, the long-lost reunion between the brothers, Yaakov and Esav. That is not exactly how our descendants leave it. The descendants of Esav, Edom, not a friendly neighbor, very much an enemy of Bnei Israel later on in the Torah. And Esav's descendants are also linked to the Romans, who weren't super kind to the Jewish folk living in their empire. There's connections in rabbinic literature saying that Romans were descended from Esav as well. So this is all tapped into the idea when you read the language here of Ovadia, it is a prophecy against Edom. And there's some really tough words coming that way. So that gives you a little bit of context. How we will be chanting that for us, page 222, all of the book of Ovadia. But before we do that, I'm going to clear off the bima. I invite you wherever you are to rise for Hagbah and Glila, the lifting and tying of the Sefer Torah by our man, our shamus, Bill Wiseman. Please rise. Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai biyad Moshe. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah udvar Adonai miYerushalayim. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah udvar Adonai miYerushalayim. Baruch Shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael. Baruch Shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Please be seated. We'll turn things over to Howie Raber for the Haftarah. Howie, b'hatzlacha, mazel tov again. Take it away.
I want to thank everyone for their best wishes before I start. Thank you very much. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'im tovim v'ratzav v'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Abocher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael avo u'Vivi'ei hamet v'seder.
Amen.
Hazon Obadiah Omar Adonai Elohim Ledom Shmuah Shamanu Metadonai Nitzir Lagoyim Shula Kumu Menakuma Alecha Amilchama Hine Katon Netaticha Lagoyim Bazueata Meod Zedon Lidecha Hishiaka Shochni Bechad Vesela Rom Shivto Omer Bilibo Miyori Deni Aretz Im Tabia Kanesher Im Ben Kochavim Simkinecha Misham Oricha Neum Adonai im ganavim v'ulecha, im shodadei laila, eif nidmeta, halo yignevu dayam, im broad stream, ba'ulach, halo yashiru ole lot. Nefeshu esav niveu matpuna ad hagol shalchucha kol anshe veritecha kishiucha yachlu lecha anshe shlomecha lachmecha yasimu mazor tachtecha into na bo. Hello, Bayom Hahu, Numaronai, Vahavadati, Achamim Edom, Utbuna, Mehar Esav, Bichatu Bivareka, Teman, Leman, Ikaret Hish, Mehar Esav, Mikatel. Nechamaz, Ahicha Yaakov, Yechatzchavu Shah, Benifrata, V'olam, Yom, Amarecha Mineged, Yom, Shivot Zarim, Elog, Benacharim, V'ushara, V'Yerushalayim, Yadu Goro, Gamata, Ki Achad Mehem, Yom Tereh, Yom Achika, Yom Nachro, Yom Tisbach Livnei Yehuda, Yom Avadam, Yom Tagel Picha, Yom Sarah, Al Tavo, Sharmi, Yom Edam, Al Tereh, Gamata, Yeratau, Yom Edo, Yom Tislachana Vechelo, Yom Edo, Yom Tamol Al HaPerek, Lechachri, Eplita, Yom Tasker Serida, Yom Sarah, Kikarov Yom Adonai, Al Hagoyim, Kasher, Asita, Asela, Yomocha, Yeshu Berashecha, Ki Kasher, Sititem, Ahar Kochi, Ishtu Hagayim, Tamid, Vishatu Vilahu, Dehayu, Kilo Hayu, Uvarti Yon, Tf Eleta, Dechaya Kodes, Yashu, Beit Yaakov, Beit Morashehem, Dechaya, Beit Yaakov Eis, Uvei, Yosef Lachava, Uvei, Esav Lekash, V'dalku Bahem, V'achalum, Lo Yeh, Sarif, V'veit Esav, Ki Adonai, Tiber. V'yashu HaNegev, Et Harisav, V'hashpela, Et Plistim, V'yashu, Et Tzedei Ephraim, Dei, so they Shamron, Uvinyamin, Et Hagilad, Bigalut HaHazeh, Livnei Israel, Asher Kananim, Ad Sarfat, Bigalut Yerushalayim, Asher Bisparad, Yeshu, Et Arei HaNegev, Bialu Moshiim, Bihar Shion, Lishpot, Et Harisav, V'haital Adonai, Hamlucha, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Tzur kol amim Tzadik b'chol hadarot Hayahaneman Homer v'yoseh Hamdaber ukayim Shekol derav emet v'tzedek Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu V'ne'emanim devarecha V'devar echad mivarecha Achor lo dirshuv rekam Ki el melech ne'eman Rachaman ata Baruch ata Adonai
Baruch hu baruch shemo.
Hayah ne'eman b'chol devarav
Amen.
Rafim al Zion ki beit chayenu
Baruch hu baruch shemo.
Misamer Zion levanecha
Amen.
Samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu B'Yahu Hanivyadecha U'malchut Beit David B'Shichecha B'mheira Yavo V'Yagel Livenu Al Kisolo Yoshev Zar Yo Yichalu Echerim Et Kivado Ki V'Shem Porchaka Nishpatalo Shelo yichbene ro di'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch hu baruch shemo.
Magen David
Amen.
Al HaTorah V'al Havodah V'al Hanvi'im V'yom HaShabbat hazeh Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu L'tishav v'limnucha L'chavod kol tifaret Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu modim lach U'marchim otach Yiparech simcha b'fi kol chai Tamid yolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch hu baruch shemo.
Mekadesh HaShabbat
Amen. Fantastic, Howie. Yasher Koach. An absolutely beautiful version and chanting of this morning's Haftarah. And unless my eyes deceive me, that looks like the bar mitzvah booklet that you probably learned from. Yeah?
Yeah, one of them, yes.
That's fantastic. I had one of those. Leslie, did you have one of those?
I did, yeah.
We were like at the end of the into the end of the 90s. That was when that kind of stopped.
I like
right
the
before,
book, though, you know?
I love it. I saved mine. I still
got
have mine,
mine.
just like Howie's.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fantastic. A beautiful job. We've been lucky to have Howie do the Haftarah before, but this one was extra special. All the wishes are well-deserved, Howie. It's great to see you. Great to hear you. And Mazel Tov again on your birthday and the anniversary of your bar mitzvah and this huge celebration with people from all over the world, really.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
So we're going to continue in just a moment. I wanted to tell you a couple of things, and then we're going to go back to the Siddur. Page 34 in the Siddur is where we have the Misha Berach for all those who are sick. And we'll read the names in just a moment. But just before we do that, I want to tell you about a couple of things coming up. I have you here. If you've got your site for this evening, Ma'ariv with Bill Wiseman and Havdalah, I believe still with Rena, is tonight beginning at 6 o'clock. Tomorrow morning, Bill has both services, Shacharit at 9 and Mincha Ma'ariv at 6 o'clock. And then don't forget, during the week, we have our minyan, 7:30 a.m., Monday through Friday for Shacharit. Mincha Ma'ariv, 6 p.m., Monday through Thursday. Kabbalat Shabbat every Friday at 5:30. And next week, next Shabbat morning, 10 o'clock right here. Another bar mitzvah preview as Jericho Nazin will be chanting his Haftarah. The day was supposed to be his bar mitzvah. We'll look ahead to the ceremony in the spring when we can have some people back in the building as we were doing successfully in the fall before the lockdown. But Jericho has been working hard. He will be delivering the Haftarah. And it's a special Haftarah because it is the second day of Hanukkah next Shabbat. So don't forget, that's one of the announcements I wanted to say to you. Hanukkah is coming. Hanukkah begins Thursday night, the 10th, with the first candle. Thursday night. the 10th, with the first candle. Our Shered Zedek online Hanukkah celebration will be Sunday, December 13th at 4:30. You can watch it, and it'll lead you right into candle lighting time. That's our program here. Songs, candles, blessings, the story of Hanukkah, some really great surprises. So check that out. Before that, though, before we get to Hanukkah, we have this collection we're doing. This is very important. I wanted to tell you. We're looking for grocery store gift cards for Jewish Child and Family Services and West Broadway clients. You may know that every year for a long time, on Christmas Day, volunteers from Shered Zedek have been going down to West Broadway and helping serve a meal on Christmas Day. We can't do that this year. So we are doing this grocery store gift card collection. Our goal is to collect 100 $25 gift cards for JCFS from Safeway, Sobeys, Superstore, or Walmart. We would also take $125 gift cards for Food Fair, specifically for our West Broadway clients. So Food Fair for West Broadway, the others for JCFS. Please drop off your gift cards at the synagogue Tuesday, December 8th. We would love it if you could do it by Tuesday in a sealed envelope during office hours. That would be so appreciative and a way for us to contribute to these communities this year during the pandemic. The last thing we're going to tell you that's Hanukkah related with the spirit of charitable giving and our celebrations of the holiday is our man and Rabbi Anibal Mas will be performing a matinee Hanukkah concert during Hanukkah on Tuesday the 15th. So 2 Tuesdays from now, that's 2 o'clock. It's for Simkin Center residents. They'll be broadcasting it live, but also anyone who wants to watch can check that out live from his home studio in his basement. Good, right? I didn't say your mother's basement. It's your basement. That's where your studio is. Yeah, okay, then we're good. His mother doesn't have a basement. She lives in an apartment. I have to translate when you're not on the mic. Now let's go to the Misha Berach. I mentioned page 34. Leslie Emery will be leading us in this special version of the Misha Berach that we do. If you have names you'd like to add, you can throw them in the chat, and I think we'll try and add them on to the names that we are going to read this week. Aviva bat Malka, Yaakov ben Sion ben Miriam, Isabella bat Sarah, Chai Zahava bat Leah, Daniel ben Devora, bat Sheva bat Sarah, Yitzchak Dov ben Bela, Kayla Peril bat Golda, David Tzvi ben Sarah Pessel, Dina Rachel bat Sarah Esther, Yitzchak Chaim ben Sarah, Tova Yael bat Dina Rachel, Eliezer Meir ben Tova Yael, Katriel Yosef ben Tova Yael, Doba Riva bat Masha, Tzadok Le ben Surah Riva, Sheila Streifler, Rochelle bat Sonia, Gail Latouche, Alfie Glass, Lois Ackerman, Corinne Ackerman, Barbara Bader, Hachazan Shefer ben Miriam, Shandel bat Miriam, Leah bat Adele, Colin Rich, Bella Chana bat Rania, Akiva ben Esther, Rita Vine, Leah bat Rachel, Dvorah Gitel bat Leah, Binyamin Pinchas ben Dvorah Gitel, Nachum Le ben Leah, Atara bat Etel, Shmuel Le ben Gitel, Stephen Lee, Esther bat Mina, Sarah bat Esther, Yaakov ben Sarah, Shoshana bat Sarah, Adrian McDonald, Frida bat Regina, Moshe Aharon ben Leah, Miriam Rachel bat Leah, Rishon ben Sarah, Yehudit Tova bat Mindel. You can have names added to our list for 4 consecutive Shabbatot for a month by calling our office and speaking to Stacy Bazak, our ritual secretary, or to one of the rabbis, to Leslie or Bill. We can add names as well. Has anyone added any names on the chat?
Yeah, absolutely. We have Tevya ben Reuvenu Miriam. We have Eliezer ben Sarah, Moshe Yitzchak ben Sarah, Tina Shem Tov, Cindy Levinson, Ann Dello, Elaine Miller, Chaya Rivka, Herbert Singer, Carla bat Nancy, Andres ben Gloria, and Sam's List. Let's join together in Debbie Friedman's beautiful Misha Berach prayer. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Laimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the
Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome. We had a few additions sent in over the chat. I'd like to acknowledge Terry Kushner, the Simpkin Center residents and staff, Aharon Ben Chaya Rivka, and Morley Reeder. We hope everyone is in a better state of health soon.
We invite you to rise wherever you are as we turn to page 41 in the Siddur, and Rabbi Mas rejoins us on the Bima for Yehalelu and the returning of the Sefer Torah. Yes, please rise.
יהללו את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו. הודו על ארץ ושמיים, וירם קרן לעמו. תהילה, תהילה לכל חסידיו, לבני ישראל עם קרובו. Hallelujah, hallelujah,
Hallelujah,
hallelujah, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Page 43. Etz chaimi lamachazik bam bedom keha meushar terachea darecheno bechol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Yameinu Kadesh Yameinu Kadesh Yameinu Kekeidei. And you may be seated. So I can continue now with the sermon. So I have a question for you, Matthew. So what is coming now?
What's what?
What is coming now before the sermon?
Oh, a joke?
No, not today.
No jokes?
No joke today.
Wow.
That's the joke.
You set me up.
Not joke today.
You set me up.
Yeah. We have something a little bit different
I like
because it's not every week that I have the pleasure to record a song that is coming from the week's Parsha. And I don't know if you noticed in our channel, we uploaded the song Katonti that I recorded this past week that is talking about the story of Jacob. So we have something different, and we're going to play the song for you, and pay attention to the words, and immediately after, the sermon is going to be related to that song. Marvin, please.
קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. כי במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה איתי לשני מחנות. הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. במקלי עברתי הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. כי במקרי עברתי את הירדן, אתה איתי לשני מחנות. הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. כי במקרי עברתי את הירדן, אתה איתי לשני מחנות. הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. כי חסדך גדול עליי, כי חסדך גדול עליי. והצלת, והצלת נפשי משאול תחתיה. במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה איתי לשני מחנות. הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. כי במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה איתי לשני מחנות. הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת.
Thank you, Marvin. I want to talk to you today about successful but unfulfilled. And these lyrics deserve some deeper explanation of what's going on in the life of Jacob when he said these famous words, Katonti mikola chasadim umikola emet. When he said, I've been humbled by all the really good things that you, God, have done to me. So let's try to understand here. Jacob was now a very successful businessman. He was famous where he was. He had many children, 2 wives. He even had God's blessings and his father's blessings. He experienced so many miracles during his life. The song is talking about the latest miracle that Jacob experienced. When he said, Ki v'makli avarti et hayarden, because with my staff, I crossed the Jordan River. And the rabbis understand because the way it's written is Ki v'makli, they translate it as because by my staff, I crossed the Jordan. It means that Jacob couldn't cross, and he did like Moses. With his staff, he opened the water so he could cross. And he's thanking God for that. So he experienced all these amazing blessings in his life. But then we keep reading the text, and he said, Atzileni na, deliver me, deliver me. And you would say, Jacob, what else do you want? You have all these blessings. You're a successful person. You are famous. You experience miracles. What else do you want? Well, the song says, now I'm divided. I am 2 camps. In other words, after all the blessings that I experienced in my life, I still feel that I am not whole. I still feel that I'm not at peace. And why would that be after all the success, after all the achievements that Jacob experienced? Because the relationship with his brother was broken. And this is something extremely important that sometimes we should understand. Because we put so much emphasis in success, in achievements, that sometimes we neglect relationships. And it's not a coincidence that with all the success that sometimes we have in our lives, we still don't feel fulfilled. Because the two are not the same. Yes, we can have lots of success. We can be great achievers. But if our relationships are broken, we are never going to be at peace. So a balanced life is a life where we can also create, nurture, and sustain beautiful relationships with other people. And that's something that sometimes we neglect for the sake of being successful. This is a little bit something that happened with Jacob. He left the house, he left behind a family, and yes, he has a lot of success, but he still misses his home and he misses his brother. And now he asks God for help to repair that relationship, and we are going to see that after he repairs that relationship is a new Jacob. So coming back to our day, I realized that during this pandemic, we started to notice how important relationships really are. When we started to miss those relationships and we started desperately to find other ways to connect with people. It's a reminder and it's a teaching experience about how important relationships are in our lives. And yes, sometimes we are very successful, we are great achievers, but sometimes we feel a little bit empty because our relationships are sometimes broken. So my challenge for you today is to take time to build, nurture, and sustain, or if it's necessary, to repair relationships so we can find fulfillment. Because the feeling of achievement will never replace the feeling of fulfillment. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. Thank you for those words in your Dvar Torah and for the song. We did that last year, did we? Or was it one of the years on this Parsha? We've done it together in the service.
It was just something different.
Oh, hey.
Now we are fancy, eh?
Well, exactly. So now you have to come back to reality and have me play Aleinu for you. Page 43, we invite you wherever you are to rise as we conclude our service, beginning with Aleinu, page 43.
44.
44.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשינו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומושב וקרוב השמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בקרובי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אמת מלכנו אפס הולדתו ככתוב בתורתו מדעת היום והשבות אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ
Ushemo Ushemo Echad Ushemo
We'll ask you to remain standing for the Mourner's Kaddish, which is on page 46 in the Siddur. This week we mourn the passing of Ruth Matus and offer our heartfelt sympathy to Susan Matus and Robert Dunn, Carol Matus and Per Brask, and John Matus and Stephanie Green. We also mourn the passing of Justine Steinkopf and extend our sincere condolences to Marilyn Steinkopf and Rick Jones, Allison and Yisrael Karp, Winifred and Lindsay Hall, Jocelyn and David Busson, and Max Steinkopf. We also mourn the passing of Isri Yamron and offer our deepest sympathy to Barbara and Eric Levi, Carol Yamron and Alan Crocker, and Francis Held. We also mourn the passing of Lucy Lewis and extend our sincere condolences to Stephen Lewis and Robert Lewis. As well, we extend condolences to families still in Shloshim, still in the first month of losing a loved one, the families of Lindy Greenberg and of Rose Shell. As well, this week, we will be commemorating the following yortzites at Congregation Shered Zedek: Sarah Kravetsky, mother of Daniel Kravetsky; Charles Rubenstein, father of Brenly Carrington Treppel; Fanny Siegel, mother-in-law of Morley Rip; Edith Blank, mother of Arthur Blank; Sharon Freed, sister of Marilyn Beloff and mother of Nicole Freed and Andrea Freed; Sam and Sarah Weiss, parents of Lauren Weiss; Marshall and Phyllis Wilder, parents of David Wilder, all of blessed memory. Again, we ask you to stand with us on page 46 for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. A yasher koach and big thank you to everyone today again helping us out here. Rabbi Anibal Mas, Bill Weissman, Leslie Emery, Marvin Polanski, and especially to all of you. Thank you so much for inviting us in to wherever you are and for making it possible for us to continue celebrating Shabbat together like this, even if we are apart week after week. Very special. And again, a happy birthday to Howie Raber for bringing so many extra people into our service from all over the world, and it's just great. Hopefully some of those folks will stick around. It all hinges on which tune you pick for Adon Olam, Rabbi. This is why people will choose to stay.
Yeah.
So
you put it on me if they don't come back.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, step up. Which one do you want?
Okay, in that case,
yes.
I don't know.
Great. Very helpful.
What do you have there?
I've got them all.
No, but just in front of you right now.
Oh, I was turning pages. The one you like, the Zim one.
Okay, let's do the Zim.
That's the one in front.
So people at home, you have to sing with us. That's
right.
That's the only catch.
Let's do it. Page 47. So I'm just making sure, just playing the same thing over again.
Adon Olam asher malach בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי
ואחרי
ככלות הכל
ככלות הכל
לבדו
לבדו
ימלוך נורא
ימלוך נורא
והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחסדו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרד אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחסדו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אלי וחי גואלים בצור חבלים בצרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי בין הכוסי ויום אקרא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחסדו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא בידו מפקיד רוחי ואת תשען והעירה ועם רוחי גבייתי אדון אלי ולא ידע אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחסדו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos. Great week, safe week, healthy week.
And we'll see you next time.